Welcome to You Talk Sports. Tonight's game of the night is the Boston Celtics against the Phoenix Suns. An exciting showdown between KD and Jason Tatum. Is Jason Tatum the next KD? We are about to see it happen before us. So we are going to have the game cast live for us here tonight. And we will be bringing people up from YouTube into the Zoom to get their takes and to enjoy watching this game together. So we'll be bringing you live audio. We will be bringing you the highlights of this game. And we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be just like as if we were all hanging out in the living room together watching tonight's game between the Celtics and the Suns. As we always do, we'll be talking some football, maybe some fantasy football, a lot of NFL free agency news. We'll be taking a look at college basketball. The conference championships are underway right now. And we'll be giving our takes on everything important that's happening in this play. We'll be in this game, rather, and we'll be bringing you highlights of this game. So if you're watching this replay to see what the heck happened in that game last night, everybody's talking about it, this is exactly the place, because we'll bring those moments to you live in the broadcast. We'll bring you some of the audio from the broadcast. Obviously, you can't show the whole broadcast on YouTube. That's copyright protected. But under fair use trade, we can show you the highlights, and that's what we'll be doing. You'll be getting real fan reactions to the game. As you can see, Drew and Lisa are here. If you guys are able to turn your cameras on, that would be great. And I would love to hear from you what you're expecting to see in this game tonight. I'll tell you what I'm expecting to see in this game tonight in just a minute. Before I do that, let's hop over to YouTube and just make sure that everything is going smooth with our broadcast and see who is in the chat tonight over on YouTube. This is our show, You Talk Sports, the show where you get to be in the show. And this is our chat here. I'm going to drop the Zoom link into the chat if you want to join us here on Zoom. As we always do, we're going to have each person who's here go into the YouTube chat and put who you are picking. I am taking Boston tonight. I think it was minus 6.5. And so I'll put that into the chat. Drew and Lisa, if you guys could head over to the YouTube channel and put your picks in there. This way we have all of our picks on record for this game. And I'll put that link here so that everyone can easily pull it up and give us your predictions to this game. The game is at halftime right now. We'll be picking up our coverage with the second half. We'll have play-by-play, and we'll be getting takes from everyone who's here and going to take a look around the league to see what else is happening in the league. I see Cameron has just hopped up here from YouTube. Good to see you. Our West Coast guys are here. Always want to hear what's up with Golden State and you know what your perception is of the Celtics and Suns. So let's go first to Drew. Good to see you. Love that background there. What do you expect to see in this game tonight, Drew, with the Celtics and the Suns?
Well, I think the Celtics are going to win. They're my pick. They just don't lose very often right now, and they lost recently, so that's my logic. If they've lost, they're not going to lose again anytime soon. It's very juvenile logic, but man, it seems to be right so far this season. They've been very, very tough. And you went on a rant about Kevin Durant a couple weeks ago, and it's been in my head ever since. Is he soft? Is he not as good as he should be? Maybe not. I think the Suns should be a little bit better than they have been this year. So that's one reason I'm picking the Celtics.
Yeah. I don't see KD. I definitely don't put him in my top 50 players all time. That gets a lot of people riled up. But I look for players that can lead a team to a championship. I value leadership in people. I value leadership in that's what makes great companies. That's what makes great pastors. That's what makes great leaders for our country. I don't vote for the person from the party I might like or dislike. I vote for who I think is the best leader. Leadership is about leading people to things beyond their own personal gains. And I have never seen any of that from KD. Even going to Phoenix, to me, he's going there to be second fiddle to Booker. Let's hop in because the game's at halftime. Let's just get some halftime highlights here right from TNT. And then we've had a couple more people join us here. Alex, good to see you. And Curtis from YouTube. I want to get your takes as to what you're expecting to see in this game. But first, let's check in with the TNT coverage.
And there she is right now. Allie, what's on your mind?
EJ, always great to be with you. Well, I know after talking to the Phoenix Suns, they believe a game was stolen from them on their home court in Phoenix when the Boston Celtics came to town. They didn't have Devin Booker. He's healthy now. We have a pretty close to fully healthy matchup tonight. Other than the Celtics will be without Kristaps Porzingis, who is missing his fourth game dealing with the hamstring injury. But for Boston, the talk all year, and you could say the same for the last couple of years, is what is standing in the way between them and a championship. Once again, first team to 50 wins in the association. They have the best home record in the league. They made moves to acquire Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. None of that matters.
Best moves in the offseason by far, bringing in Porzingis and Holiday. They should definitely get best GM of the year with those moves. I never thought when they were trading Marcus Smart, my favorite player, that it would make them better, but sure enough, it did.
Drew Holiday told me he can feel the hunger in this team. He said when we spoke to Coach Mazzulla, there was 4 things that he told us were different this time. Number one, the flexibility, being able to see this is what got us here, but this is what's going to win this moment or this game. He said they're always thinking, how can we have as many lessons on the table as possible? And Coach said, quote, win or lose, we find 10 possessions a game that can help us.
Yeah, it's title or bust for this Celtics team. And I expect to see them bring it all home. They did have a tough loss to Denver. And I'm not going to say anyone can stop or slow down the Joker. You can't. But Boston can outscore them. 3s for 2s. You can win a series if they can get hot. So let's go on the horn and hear from some of our fans who are here. Cameron, what are you looking forward to seeing in tonight's game with the Celtics and the Suns?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to point out, I don't know if Kevin Durant is playing second fiddle in Phoenix. I mean, it's hard to say that because he's averaging 28.5 points per game, which leads the Suns in scoring this season. So there's that. But one thing I want to say about the Suns is I'm excited to see him play. They've been injured all season. They got Beal, Booker, and Durant all healthy in this game. Right now, Booker's struggling, but Durant was hot in that first half. And they got I think they might got a good steal in Grayson Allen too. He's been shooting exceptionally well this season. I'm not saying he's an X factor type player on that team, but you can't leave him open. I'm curious to see how these 3 guys can share the ball on the court, because even Beal, he's averaging 18 points per game. So these guys are all scoring, getting the ball, but they're all limited on how many touches they're getting. But other than that, Celtics are at home. I think they've only lost 3 games this season at home. They look unbeatable at home. So I got to ride with the C's tonight.
Okay, nice. Go ahead and put your picks into the YouTube chat, and make sure everyone on Zoom is also viewing us on YouTube. We need all the views there. And if you're watching us on YouTube and want to join us for this fan watch party and hang out, the second half will be underway in just a little bit here. Let's go next to Alex, and go ahead, Kim.
I was just going to say one thing about the Suns too this season is each month this season they've improved in their defensive efficiency. And this last month, I think they ranked 8th. So their defense has been improving all season.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. Usually a team with 3 scorers, that doesn't work. I know I play pickup ball. I play 2-on-2 with the same 3 guys every day at lunchtime. And all 3 of them are really good scorers. And I'm the guy who sets picks and passes and rebounds. And whoever plays with me, we almost always win. The guys with the 2 scorers don't win. That's what makes basketball a team sport, and I don't see that in the Suns. And I was wondering, why in the world did the Suns get rid of DeAndre Ayton? And I think it was Alex last time we had the Suns on the show that gave me some great insights into that. If you could kind of recap that and tell us what you're looking forward to seeing in tonight's game, Alex.
I think DeAndre Ayton, if I'm not mistaken, I think and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he just wanted to get paid, and I don't think they valued him as much. Which I agree, kind of, Greg. I think they should have kept him. I don't think Nurkic is very good. And if the Suns had Ayton there, they actually might be winning this game. Actually, I think with Porzingis out, Ayton could probably eat against the Celtics, but. Nevertheless, he went to Portland, and he's going to probably sit there and rot in Portland, unfortunately. I think Ayton's a good player, so we'll see what happens. Maybe in the future he'll get traded somewhere else. But with this game, I mean, it's hard to, again, like Cam said, it's hard to bet against Boston at home, right? You are right. It looks like they've only lost 3 games at home, even without Porzingis. I think Boston wins this game. I would say that Durant is not second fiddle. He's first fiddle on the Phoenix Suns as well. I would agree with you, Greg. They're not a team. They don't play really as a team. Too many individual scorers, and I don't think they do anything in the playoffs either. They are, very talented, but I don't see them going too far in the playoffs. But for this game specifically, I got Boston in the over.
All right, let's put it on the record in the YouTube chat. To me, Devin Booker took this team to the finals. So it's his team, it's his city. Anybody that's coming in is playing second fiddle to him. He's the young gun there, and KD came in to help Booker and this team win a title, and it's title or bust for this team as well. And it would mean a lot for KD's legacy if he could win a championship with Phoenix. I would be very impressed. I would be willing to reconsider everything I've said about him being a pussy for joining Golden State. If he could win a title, even get to a conference finals with this Suns team, I will eat my words and give him all of his credit, but it won't happen. They'll lose in the first round, just like he always does. And he just is what he is. And he's not a winner. He's not a leader. He's not anybody that I would want on my team if we were going to war or if we were playing basketball to actually win championships. He's about stats. He's about himself. And that's all he's ever been. All right, so let's hear next from Curtis. Love to get your take as far as what you're looking to see in tonight's game between the Celtics and the Suns. Curtis?
Yeah, I agree. That's Booker's team. KD washed up, and I don't think he getting another ring until he leave. He gonna leave the league before he get another ring. He gonna retire without another ring. So I got Boston though. Boston for sure. I'm excited to see Tatum perform. It's a big night. I think Jalen Brown gonna get at least 20. Tatum like 30. Eight assists. I'm excited to see Boston though. I think they get their first ring this year too.
Awesome. Well, I'll be there right with you, rooting for it tonight and heading into this playoffs.
Yeah,
I love
sure.
getting perspectives from different people from different parts of the world. Alex especially is from Wisconsin, so he's a Bucks fan. So eventually we're going to have a great showdown in the playoffs. It looks like. Cam is a Golden State fan. Lisa is our resident Kansas City fan, and so I wanted to check.
I got LA. I like
LA. Okay.
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Check in with Lisa on NFL free agency while we're at halftime here. What are you hearing in the rumor mill? What is going to happen with your team? Who are they going to sign?
The only people we've signed so far are pretty much people on our defense, and most of
I know
them
who you've signed. We don't need a recap of the news. I want what's going to happen next tomorrow.
I don't know. Nobody knows. All the wide receivers are going off the board little by little. So I honestly have no idea. They're saying Mike Williams now, but I mean they've said Calvin Ridley. I mean they said everybody. So honestly, nobody knows. We're just waiting, trying to wait patiently. But
Mahomes, the restructuring of Mahomes is done finally. It was a little bit late, I feel like that made it cost them some time getting into free agency, and that freed up some money. So now they have money. Do we know how much money they have?
I think they have like 15.5 maybe to spend. It took like 23 off the cap or 21 off the cap. So I don't know. I thought they might restructure maybe Tooney as well, because we might end up keeping Snead and we still need a veteran wide receiver. So
Yeah.
nobody knows what's going on because Veach always surprises us. So I have no idea. Nobody knows.
Well, if we look at who's still out there for veteran receivers, and I've been offline since 4, so about 5 hours now, so I might have missed something, but the guys that are available would be Hollywood Brown.
Yes.
And I think at this point, like, it's supply and demand. Like, I think he thought he was getting a lot of money. He's probably not. The other guy I'm hearing is Curtis Samuel. I'm hearing some whispers that he would go to the Chiefs cheap on a 1-year deal because he hopes if he puts up big numbers with Mahomes, he can.
Samuel signed with Buffalo.
Yep,
Good
he's
eye.
gone.
Did Samuel? Because I knew Buffalo signed the other guy from Atlanta. Did they sign Samuel as well?
Yeah,
too?
3-year, $56 million.
Wow, they gave him a lot of money. He's not worth that. That's so interesting. All right. Well, we're going to be continuing to talk football and basketball and checking in with college basketball tonight. Our game is back underway here with the second half. So let's pull up our game cast. I'm going to put on my reading glasses so that I can see what's going on in this box score here. I thought, by the way, I'm wearing one of my Celtics jerseys today. I thought it'd be fun if you guys could guess the Celtics jersey player that I'm wearing. And I'm trying to think of what we could do for a fun prize if you get it right. And maybe so I'll let you go ahead and put into the YouTube chat who you're guessing Celtics jersey I'm wearing tonight. I'll give you the first hint will be this is not a jersey or shirt I've worn on the show before. This is one of my older school jerseys here. Let's just look at this box score. I mean, the Suns are actually hanging with them here. Beal has 16, Booker only has 10, Durant has 15. So the big three doing well there. Tatum's leading the way with 23 and Brown has 23. Pretty good halftime numbers for the two big players there for the Celtics. Let's hop over to here. Here's our YouTube channel. We need to make sure everyone has this open in another browser. We need everyone on Zoom to be participating over here in YouTube. This is where we want to get the chat going. A lot of our audience isn't ready to come up with us on Zoom yet. They want to watch the show and talk in the chat. And we want to engage with them in the chat as well. So I'll put the link here in case you need it to hop over to YouTube. Make sure you have that up in another browser window and leave that open and be keeping an eye on the chat while we're watching the game here. So let's just hop over there and see what we have as far as guesses for my jersey here. Antoine Walker. Wow, that would be an old school guess. I was never an Antoine fan. He was kind of a gunner, reckless big guy. Good.
I don't think anyone actually liked him besides his mom.
Hey, he went on to get a ring with that Heat team, so they actually like him in Miami. They think he's like my friends in South Florida, like he's part of their championship team. There was a lot of weird players. Everyone remembers Shaq and D Wade, but there was a cast of other guys on that team. I think Jason Williams maybe, and Antoine Walker, and those guys are all like really remembered down in Heatland. Kuzi, I wouldn't go back that far to Kuzi here. Bird is a good guess. So is Tatum. No one's got it yet. All right, let me try to give a little more of a hint here on this, and we'll keep an eye on our game cast here. Let's just show a little bit more of it here. Let's see if that is that enough of a clue for anybody to get it. I'll let you guys put it in the chat and let me know what you think this is. And think about, I told you my style of play as well. I always like to get a jersey that represents my identity. I never pick the star player because I'm never the star player when I play. I enjoy playing and being the guy that makes my team win and makes the star look good and having friendships through sports. That's what basketball has always been for me. Let's see if we can get the audio from the game up tonight, and we'll add then the play-by-play audio here as well if it's working tonight. Sometimes the live stream is not working that. And while that's loading, let's hop back over to the YouTube chat here. Let's see. Is anybody going by the number? I guess I didn't really give you the full number here. I see a Malcolm Brogdon. Brogdon was only here for 1 year. Paul Pierce, Bill Russell. All right, we're going to go a little bit more of a clue here. A little bit more of a clue and give the full number. There it is. The full number 9. Does that give it away? Some of you guys got it quick. Yes, there is my boy Rondo. Passing, rebounding, defending, shooting a high field goal percentage. All the principles I love about the game. Definitely one of my favorite players. And, they talk about the big 3 in Boston that won that championship, Pierce, Ray Allen, and KG. But, Rondo was very young in his career, but a key part of that team, as was Kendrick Perkins. That team made Doc Rivers look pretty good, as we've often talked about on this show. We're not sure if he knows what he's doing as a coach or not. So the game's on a commercial right now. It's 77-65. If anybody has any takes of what they're seeing in the game, I would love to get those. Go ahead and use the Zoom raise of hand if you want to chime in on what is happening in the game. And then at the end of the third quarter, which will be coming soon, I want to go around the league and get updates on what's happening in conference tournaments. Did Kansas lose? Did I see that right? Kansas lost to Cincinnati. Wow, man, those injuries are really taking its toll on Kansas, man. I don't even know if you can trust them to the Sweet 16 in March Madness if they can't beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not for sure in the tournament at all. That was a really bad loss. We filled out brackets earlier this week. It was really fun where we picked our conference tournament teams. And I know almost all of us had Kansas going, not all the way, but winning against Cincinnati for sure. The only other upside I saw today was one that I picked. Patino, man, don't count out Patino. It was only the 5 seed beating the 4 seed Seton Hall, but Andy Katz was picking Seton Hall in that, and I corrected him earlier this week, predicting that I thought St. John's would win that. Not that I know much about St. John's, other than I trust Patino in the tournament. If anyone has any takes on anything that's been happening in college basketball, would love to get those. How's your Wisconsin team playing, Alex?
They won by 37.
Oh, wow.
I think they made 16 threes. I mean, they played lights out today. Playing against a good defensive Maryland team. So it was good to see. I like Wisconsin to win tomorrow and then match up against Purdue. We'll see what happens against Zach Edey.
Yeah, so who do they play next? Is it Northwestern?
Northwestern is a good matchup for them. They usually handle them. I know Northwestern's got that point guard Boo Buie, who's very good. They got two pretty detrimental injuries that just happened to them though. So I think Wisconsin shakes them off tomorrow.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that about the injuries Northwestern had. I was just kind of looking through their record, and I picked Northwestern to win that game against Wisconsin earlier this week. And this is exactly what can happen is like, if you just do your research, I love to research. I love sports research, and you look through things, but you don't actually watch a game or like know what's going on with injuries, your research can backfire on you. This is a perfect example of what makes this so valuable when we get to hear from real fans here, like what's really going on. Alex has really watched these games from Wisconsin all year, so he knows better than anyone could research. He's up to date on what's going on with the injuries. That's the kind of takes that we get here. And that's the kind of stuff that can really make a difference in picking your March Madness brackets. We're going to be having our own tournament, and I'm sure everyone plays in one their own. My goal would be if every single one of you win your March Madness tournament, that would make me so happy, and so that's kind of our goal, is for us to collectively help each other. Don't hold anything back, so that we can all go home and win our tournaments in our local markets. All right, so the Celtics have opened it up by 12 here. Tatum looks like he's hot, still 10 of 14. Brown is 9 of 15. This is how they're going to have to play to beat Denver. They're going to have to shoot their way past them. Also, when Jokic goes to the bench, that's when they can gain some ground. He does have to rest at some point.
I think Minnesota gonna upset Denver.
Woo!
If they
I like
meet,
that.
if
I
they
like
meet,
that.
they gonna
Well,
upset them for
Towns,
sure.
I was looking for an update on that. Karl Anthony Towns, if he was
Yeah.
sure coming back or not yet for the playoffs. But have you heard anything about that?
No, I ain't heard nothing yet. No,
Yeah,
I feel like
thinking that he will be back. The early reports I heard were that he was going to be back. Then they
before
said he just had his surgery.
if
And
they
I'm like,
don't get him back before the playoffs, then they ain't got no chance to beat Denver.
yeah,
No.
exactly. I mean, Gobert, can defend Joker, but you need both those guys down there if you're really going to beat these
Yeah,
guys.
once Jokic get going, it's over with. Ain't
Yeah.
no stopping him.
Yeah, I like that. My betting app has Minnesota at like 3,000 to 1 right now. Towns is out, and I don't think they think he's not coming back. And I'm
Yeah,
like, man, this is a good, throw $20 on this, right? And
yeah.
what, I don't know what the math is on that, but it would be it was something I was looking at the other night with really good odds. Not and some of my apps.
I be on Dabble. I bet on Dabble.
Dabble.
You heard of Dabble?
No, I'm always looking for new apps, so I'll
Yeah.
look that one up.
Yep.
Yeah, but we just opened up. Right now, I'm in North Carolina. I split time between Florida and North Carolina, and so North Carolina just legalized on Monday this past week.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, yeah, we're finally able to use all the apps. I'm not sure if all the apps are here, or not, or if like it's just some of the apps. I would have to Google that. Is it Dabble? DABBL? Dabble?
Yep. DABBLE.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they got 100 times. If you pick 8 picks, 100 times.
And do they do fantasy drafts too?
No, I think it's just over under, and they got the combos though, like the points, rebounds, and assists. They put them together.
Okay, cool. Does anybody else have any apps they use? Because I do a lot of fantasy drafts. I've done over 50 fantasy football drafts already on Underdog for Best Buy, Best Ball rather. I like to do, these are like $3 leagues where there's no free agency. So, it's just fun to do the drafts and have it count for something.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right, we got a timeout in the game right now.
Tatum was like he's going for 38. Tatum going for 38.
Yeah. Yeah, his over-under tonight was only about 28.
Yeah, I be doing combos. Yeah, I like the combos. It's easier to hit when you do the combos. With the points, rebound, and assist. Because he's gonna get 30 points. So
yeah, Boston just played at Portland last night, right? Was that last night? It was Wednesday. Yeah.
I ain't catch that game. Yeah.
Tonight's Thursday. That was my like only hesitant in them, were they going to be tired traveling back cross country? They handled Portland pretty easily. I think they won and covered by about 12. It was never really close. And then they had to get back to Boston, right? Because this game's in Boston here.
Yeah.
Let's check our college scoreboard here. Yeah, I can't believe Samuel signed with the Bills. I've been drafting him a lot in best ball, but I guess that's a good spot for him. Hollins is the other guy the Bills signed, right? Let's look at college basketball scores. Duke was playing NC State earlier tonight. That's a big game here in Carolina. Pretty sure Duke handled their business. I haven't checked in. I might still be on, actually. I think it was a 7:30 start, so that's probably over. Creighton is rolling. Oh, look at this. Duke is going down. 50 seconds left, and they're down 7. Oh, my gosh. That is so funny. Man, that is too funny.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, everybody loves to see Duke lose, man, especially this Duke team. Yeah, they miss Coach K. It is not the same. Shire's going to be on the hot seat already. They're going to be calling for him. There's so many good Duke alumni coaches they should have gave that job to instead of him. And here I'm in the Raleigh area. It's even though Duke is right here, it's mostly state fans. So Duke alumni don't live around here. They move on. So yeah, that is what we might need to. Well, it's not like it's come closer. I was saying we could pull that up and check in on it. How do I get the scores from earlier today? Or let's look at all the scores. Here's the ACC. Carolina's rolling. They're up to number 4 now. You got to consider them for your Final Four. I mean, they got a lot of experience coming back. You know, 2 of those guys were on that team that made the run 2 years ago now. Let's see what's happening around the NBA tonight, too. Our game is still on a timeout break here. Did anybody see what happened? What's he so upset about, the Phoenix coach? Looks like he's yelling at the refs, right? Did he get teed up for that? He's got to get teed up for that. Yeah. Like walked out to half court there, Frank Vogel. Just giving away points. The Clippers are winning, or the Rockets are winning. That's kind of all expected. The Bucks are losing. Oh, it's early though.
And B not back, right?
No, I think he's coming back for the playoffs too, though.
Oh yeah. Maxi been doing his thing lately though.
Yeah, he's carrying
I
them.
like Maxi. Yeah, he an
He's winning
underdog.
games single-handedly.
He underrated.
Well, I mean, he's an all-star. I don't think he's underrated anymore.
But it's a lot of people that don't like really know how good he can play. Like he put that back on his team and beat out. He put that team on his back.
He's
Yeah.
fun to watch. A lot of
Yeah.
players that never smile or have any emotion. He's having fun while he's out there.
Right.
That's how I'd want to play.
That's all it's about, right? That's
He's
all it's
good,
about.
but he's not putting the team on his back. They've been trash since the All-Star break. They're nothing without Embiid. I love Maxi.
But they beat a lot of key teams though, like a lot of big teams. They upset a lot of teams. Like while with Embiid being away, they beat a lot of good teams.
Hey, all I know is they were part of I think, was it the Knicks? Did they play the Knicks the other day? Where
Yeah,
the score was
lowest scoring game.
73. And what's crazy about that was the team that got 73 points. That's the same amount of points that Luka Doncic had like a month ago against the Hawks.
Yeah, so they beat the Knicks. That's a quality win there. That's that game Cam was talking about. They have been losing, but they beat the Mavs. I mean, for them to beat anybody without Embiid.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like that's hard. Like
they got 2 wins against the Cavs. Look at that. Is that Embiid's been out? It doesn't give you the dates here, so I can't tell if that was before Embiid or not. But man, it looks like that would be a good matchup for them in the playoffs. If they get the Cavs in the first round, they beat them twice in the last month here.
Yeah.
They got another showdown with them coming up soon, the Cavs. Yeah, I'll tell you, the bottom of the East is
it's up for
everyone likes to
grabs.
hype the West, but the bottom of the East is not that much. Who do I want to play as a Boston fan? I don't want Embiid. I don't want the Heat. Like, who's down there that you would really even want to play? I can't. Who else am I missing? Indiana down there.
Cleveland.
Well, yeah, Cleveland's in the 2 or 3 seed, it looks like, right? Let's look at the standings here. Although our game's back on, so I keep an eye on that. Boston's up 14, 4 minutes to go in the 4th here. So right now it would be the Heat are in the 8th seed. Chicago's been winning games, man. DeMar DeRozan looking young again.
DeMar DeRozan's second in the league in clutch points this season.
Oh, the Magic. They are surging. Yeah, 7-3 in their last 10. I wouldn't mind playing them. If I had to pick from this list of the top 8, I would probably want the Magic. But they're not in the 8th seed. I think these bottom three teams all can be dangerous. These play-in teams are not so good, right? The Bulls and the Hawks.
Yeah, I don't think the Magic got enough experience though. They ain't got no veterans.
Exactly. That's why they'd be my first choice of who to play in the playoffs. Oh, Cornette missed a layup. Man, that guy is not good. But Boston is opening it up now. They've going up big at home, 95-72. Phoenix looks like the ones who are tired, even though Boston is coming home from the West Coast. Phoenix looks like the ones who are tired getting out here. It's only 2 hours time difference from Arizona to Boston, but it's kind of north to south and east to west, so it's a long flight for them. Yeah, the Eaton trade, what we were talking about on the show last time we had the Suns. I don't know if Cam, if you remember any of that conversation, but he was bad in the locker room.
Yeah, he is. So he was a bad. Him and Monty Williams couldn't get along. Devin Booker didn't he didn't show. So against the Sun or against the Bucks, he got outplayed by backup Frank Kaminsky. And then he also got benched the next season against the Mavericks in Game 7. He disappeared I put in the chat earlier. He cares more about his 2K account on my player than actually being at the game. And they proved that. Some guy tweeted out like 2 hours before a playoff game, he was playing a 2K game with DeAndre Ayton. So that kind of just shows you where his head is at. And I honestly, at first I thought it'd be a good trade for Ayton to go to Portland this year, but he's averaging career lows in Portland. He even said this season, I did not like the quote. He said, "I'm a max player. I have nothing else to prove." And that was kind of the whole reason him and Phoenix never worked out, is because they gave Bridges that contract first. Then they tagged him. They franchised, or they got him for another. They said, "We'll pay you next year. We'll talk another year about it." And then he signed with Indiana, and then they matched that offer with Indiana. But yeah, I mean, and then when they beat Portland too this year, another thing I found funny was Devin Booker took a little shot at DeAndre Ayton, saying he noticed that Ayton was actually trying that game. Maybe that'll inspire him to try harder in future games. But yeah, he definitely disappeared in all the big moments in the playoffs. I agree with Alex. His ceiling is high. He's supposed to be a 20-10 player, but I think once he got paid, he just kind of lost that motivation.
Yeah. And I love hearing this behind the scenes stories like this about what really happened there. It's not stuff that's, picked up in the mainstream media. Nobody likes to ever say anything bad about anybody. And, something happened, right? When they lost to Luka, remember that series where they got knocked out by the Suns, right? And going to the finals. Something happened in that series. And
yeah, Monty was yelling. He was yelling at DeAndre Ayton. Fans, they have recordings of him yelling in his face saying, "You quit on us. You quit on us," in that series.
Oh, wow.
And he did the same thing against the Clip. He got outplayed by the backup centers against the Clip. I can't remember the guy's name. He's that much of a role player, but same thing happened against the Clippers last season. Ayton just absolutely disappeared.
He quit on him because Giannis put up 55 on him in the finals.
Do the Suns regret getting rid of Monty Williams?
He failed the team in that moment. So I think they had to make a change. Vogel has just as much championship experience. There seems like of all the sports, NBA coaching, in my opinion, has the least amount of loyalty, and they're the quickest to turn things over. I don't know if anybody else, has a take on Monty.
I would have ran it back one more year without Ayton on the team. If Ayton was the number one problem, right? Why not just get rid of that problem and then run it back? I mean, they traded for Kevin Durant and got Bradley Beal, but obviously they feel like Monty Williams wasn't the answer. That's why he's he's coaching the Detroit
But
Pistons right
he
now.
Aiden played a whole nother year after that all happened in the finals.
Yep.
There was a whole nother season in there. They just traded him this year. My biggest gripe is they should have got more for him. I mean, to get just Nursif and who else did they get? Maybe they got this.
I think Beal was a part of that three team trade, wasn't he?
I don't know. I thought Ayton was in the somehow he was in that trade that got the Celtics Drew Holiday from Portland, from what I remember. Somehow he was mixed up in the pieces there. We'd have to look that one up and see if that led to them getting Beal, then that would be worth them. It's certainly salary. No, because at one point I remember they had all four of them on the roster. I remember for sure they had Beal was there, plus they still had Ayton. And then they made the trade after that. They got Grayson Allen, who's, I guess he's worked out all right for him. I don't know how that guy's starting in the NBA. Like, he seemed like, I never would have predicted that, him coming out of Duke with all his baggage.
Yeah, I thought his rookie season in Utah, I thought he was going to be a quick bust, but he actually played surprisingly well in Milwaukee, which earned him a pretty good contract in Phoenix.
Yeah, Booker just came down on Horford's foot.
Well, you, Alex, what did you think about Grayson Allen and his time spent with the Milwaukee Bucks? Were you a fan?
Yeah, I was definitely a fan. He definitely changed his attitude from college. He's just a guy who just shut up and played. I don't even think I heard him speak in 2 years with the Bucks. Bucks fans though are hot and cold with him. Bucks fans tend to dislike a player if they don't show up in the playoffs, right? So Grayson Allen struggled in the playoffs, especially last year. The Bucks struggled. They lost to the 8th seed, right? So it's 2 years that he struggled in the playoffs, but he definitely deserved that contract. Or I don't know if they extended him yet, but he deserved to go to Phoenix. It's a good fit for him, and I think, Cam, you can correct me, he's like got to be top 3 in 3-point percentage in the entire league right now, right? He's killing it. Yeah.
He had a quarter this year where he hit 8 threes or 7
Yeah.
or 8 in
Yeah.
one quarter.
Yeah, he was number one. The last time I checked it a week or two ago, he was number one in the league in 3 points this year, percentage.
The thing with him, the knock on him was defense too. And I think he's picked up his defense. His defensive metrics look better this year. But I think if you get an athletic guard who's a little bit bigger, stockier, he'll get bodied up and it'll be tough for him to guard somebody. But I mean, you can cancel that out when you can shoot the 3 at 48%. So
yeah.
Yeah,
if you remember him coming back to Duke, he was a pretty highly touted freshman, and his team won the national championship that freshman year, and he hit some big shots in the finals. And I figured if this guy's going pro, now's his time to go. His stock's at an all-time high, and he wound up being a 4-year player at Duke, which you if you're going to be an NBA player, usually you don't stick around for those extra years. And then it just got worse with all the trashy stuff.
Coach K, one of the most brilliant coaching moves ever against Wisconsin in that championship game. Grayson Allen's playing like 5-6 minutes a game as a freshman. Someone got into foul trouble. I think it was Justice Winslow. Wisconsin's up by 10 with like 7-8 minutes left, and I'm like thinking, okay, we're gonna win the championship. Grayson Allen comes in and scores like 12 points in 4 minutes and just buries us. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then it's like he's a household name overnight. Like if this kid was going to go pro, like he that was his time to go, in my opinion. The rest of that team went, and then he didn't just go the next year. He stuck around for 4 years, which to me that says to me, okay, he just doesn't have pro skills. He's like a Drew Timme, or just can't defend. You're not going to learn to defend really. Usually you don't, and yet he's on an NBA team starting. That's crazy. And he's on a team that has Beal, Booker, and KD, like 3 scorers already. He's the 4th scorer in there. You'd think they would want a PJ Tucker, like a hustle guy, a rebounder who could shoot the 3 instead of Grayson Allen.
I'm real curious to see how the Celtics play in this 4th quarter. I know last week we were on the show and we watched him go into the 4th quarter with a double-digit lead. And I feel like I'm kind of seeing the same thing here tonight. Devin Booker just ended that third quarter on a scorching hot run. So he's heating up, headed into the fourth quarter. And the Celtics have been shooting 50% from three this whole game. Can they keep that up in the fourth quarter, or are they going to switch up their offense and slow it down and maybe play a little more ISO ball or a little more conservative offense? So I'm curious to see how aggressive the Celtics are going to be in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's a good take. If anybody else has a take, go ahead and use the Zoom raise of hand. We watched that Cleveland game, broke my heart. Donovan Mitchell wasn't even playing. The Celtics are up 20 in the fourth and just blew it. And guy came out of nowhere and got red hot, Dean. And Phoenix has got players that can get hot. Here comes Grayson Allen. Right on call. We're talking about you, buddy. He knocks down a three to start the fourth. Let's get our box score back up here so we can all follow along. Ideally, you've got this on TV at home, just like I do, and we could just kind of take live reactions to this. Drew's got his hand up. Go ahead, Drew. What are you seeing in the game?
Well, I was just going to answer Camp's question as to what's going to happen. The Suns are going to go on a run here late in the fourth quarter and make it close. Devin Booker, just knocking down a three. However, the Celtics are going to put the clamps on defensively at the end and still win the game. There's no chance I'm wrong on this. No chance.
Hey, that's what we said against Cleveland. And remember, we needed not to be a buzzer beater, right? We need them to cover too.
Yeah, I feel like the Celtics, I feel pretty confident that the Celtics should be able to keep this lead and win the game. They just put a stat up on the screen that the Celtics have the best plus minus net efficiency in the fourth quarter versus the Suns, who have the worst in the whole league at minus 14. So,
oh, wow.
Something to consider. But also, this is one of the first few games where the Suns are fully loaded and healthy. One of these three guys can heat up at any time. Honestly, I just put in the chat too. I just want them to come back and make it a close game. I like exciting games in the NBA that come right down to the wire.
Yeah, we're all for that. Nice penetration and bucket there.
Oh, Bull. What do you guys think about Bull? Shaq thinks he's Wembyanyama 2.0.
Good Lord.
You guys probably aren't old enough to remember his dad playing.
He had a game where he made like 5 threes, didn't he?
Yeah, it was crazy. They put it back then. No centers were shooting threes. So for Don Nelson to put him out there at the 3-point line was crazy. Let's hear from Jason. What are you seeing in this game, Jason?
Well, I was just gonna say, man, I was like, it's weird, man. The Suns haven't been able to get back-to-back wins. They just haven't been able to get on a roll, man. They'll win one game and they'll fall off. It's just weird. Like, I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, they seem like they're, Beal's only been back for a few games now. Like they're trying to get him integrated somehow into this team. Meanwhile, Jalen Brown is just too good.
Yeah, he's tough, man. That guy's tough.
Good luck keeping him, Greg, on the Celtics.
I think he's got another year or two. I mean, you could have 2 max players these days.
Yeah, but he's disgruntled. He wants to be the guy, I think.
Yeah. Did you see that tweet that he liked, Alex?
Yeah, I did. That's what I was getting at.
NBA's in good hands, man. I thought it'd be bad, but they're in good hands.
Yeah.
Is this a recent tweet or it's from way back?
I'll let you explain, Alex.
Which tweet are you talking about? There was one in the off season. But was there a recent one, Cam? I saw a grumble.
He liked one that said that you put him on any other team, he's averaging 30 and he's the number 1 option.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That's true. It's true. But how fans can run with that and think that, you got to get him out of there, make him a number 1 option because he doesn't want to be, second fiddle to Tatum. But kind of like how Kyrie was with LeBron, he wanted to get out of there and run his own team. We all saw how that was.
Yeah. There's been some others. He had one, if he was the main guy, and he was saying if I was the main guy in Boston, he'd be all about playing and winning rings, something along those lines as well. A lot of that's posturing and salary negotiation, and we'll see. As long if you're getting max money, you should be about rings. You want to win championships. If he wants to go,
His max deal.
if
Wouldn't
he
the
wants to go
Celtics
be the man and have his own team, then that's okay. Good, if that's your goal, that's not that's not something KD's ever done, right? KD's never gone somewhere other than Brooklyn, where he tried to be the man and start his own team, and Brooklyn fell apart for him. He's always gone and joined people's teams.
Celtics could be the first team in NBA history to have two supermax players on their team with the deal of over $300 million.
Wow, yeah. Well, with this NBA salary cap, allows you to re-sign your own players in unique ways. I like that. I was thinking about with all the NFL free agency this past week, I feel like in the NFL, they like player movement. It gives everyone something to talk about in the news. It gives teams new players, new hope. And because their salary cap system is unlike basketball's, which is designed for teams to have an advantage to be able to re-sign your players and keep them throughout their careers. Everybody, Brady moves on, Joe Montana moves on. Everybody seems to move on at the end of their football careers.
I have a question for Lisa. Lisa, do you think that the NFL raised the salary cap this year just so the Chiefs could re-sign Chris Jones and keep the Chiefs dynasty going?
You guys are ridiculous. I don't understand how you come up with these crazy ideas because of the Chiefs. I don't understand. Everybody knew that the salary cap was going up. Everybody knew the salary cap was going up exponentially. So what are you talking about, KM? No, I don't believe that at all.
Is that a conspiracy thought that's going out there? It's not like it went up just for KC and not for everybody else,
Right? I mean, and then I don't understand. Because, okay, so I don't like to compare Mahomes to Brady, but when Brady was doing all this stuff, they didn't talk about, oh, he has the best coach. They didn't talk about, oh, he has the best tight end. They didn't talk about his defense. It was just, oh, Brady's great. But now that it's Mahomes, it's, oh, it's the coach. Oh, it's the tight end. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's the refs.
Well, I want to correct you.
Craziness.
I want to correct you on that because that's for the first 10 years of Brady's career. 10 years, 3 Super Bowl wins. Belichick was the genius. Brady was just a game manager. Brady was over. It took 10 years before people started to give Brady credit. And so
well,
Mahomes,
in all honesty, that was kind of true.
yeah,
And
but the crazy part to that is then, so if for the first 10 years it was all Belichick and Brady was a game manager, how in the last 10 years did Belichick become an idiot that needed to get run out of town? Like that makes no sense to me. Like,
yeah, it's crazy how the tide turns, isn't it?
what have you done for me lately? Drew, what are you seeing in this game?
Well, it's not in the game, but just speaking on this salary cap issue, I don't know if we're still doing our minute take or not, but the salary cap is not real. The teams have gotten to where they can manipulate it any way they want. Anytime you want a player, you can make it work. You can sign anybody you want to. All you have to do is just restructure the contract. The only reason these teams don't get better players is the owners don't want to spend the money. The Houston Texans, they're playing with a different salary cap than my Tennessee Titans. The Cleveland Browns, they always play with a different salary cap. They never run out of money. They have rich owners. They'll spend anything, and the cap can be manipulated easily. So they just use the cap as an excuse not to spend the money. But they can do it, spend as much money as they want.
Tennessee, has actually been the most active team this year, right? Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley, and you're still saying they're not spending?
Well, this year they actually are spending. So, but in the past, they've just used the cap as an excuse not to spend. Well, now Rand Carthon, our general manager, he's going to fight to keep his job. So I guess he's convinced the owner to spend. But I was kind of surprised when Chris Jones got that deal in Kansas City because Kansas City is kind of a cheap franchise. I thought maybe not anymore. Maybe now that they're in win now mode. But I think the salary cap is just hogwash. Anyone can manipulate it any way they want.
Yeah, I would. That's a good take. Yeah, but in Jones, he's the highest paid defender in the league now, right? It's not. He didn't take less to stay with the Chiefs, like we thought he would maybe take less to win another ring. No, he got his money, right?
Yeah, we all knew that he wasn't going to take less. He's not the highest paid defender. He's the highest paid defensive tackle. Nick Bosa is the highest paid defender. But yeah, I mean, it's just like Mahomes. They're going to pay the people who, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Of course they're going to pay him. They drafted him. He's a integral part of this defense. He's the leader of this defense. So, I mean, I know they didn't want to pay as much as they did, but to be honest with you, that was a smart move on their part because had he hit the open market, he would have gotten a lot more. So he said he wanted to stay in Kansas City, and honestly, he could have gotten more on the open market, but he chose to stay. And Kansas City conceded and gave him what he wanted. So I think it was mainly the guarantee. So he got 95 guaranteed for 3 years.
Yeah, that's a lot for a defensive player. If he
Yes,
gets hurt, you guys are screwed because all that money you'll be sunk into him. It's a big risk. That's my thoughts with the Calvin Ridley signing because New England was bidding for Calvin Ridley. And Tennessee, I gave him $50 million guaranteed over 4 years. I'm like, that's crazy. He's 29. I don't want to be stuck with him when he's 32 and 33.
Well, I think all the guarantees are on the first two, or most of them are on the first 2 years. So I don't think he'll be there all 4 years. They'll cut him after 3, would be my guess. Of course, I could be wrong on that, but yeah, that was a lot of money. But if you didn't give him that money, you weren't getting Calvin Ridley. It was the only way to get him.
Yep. And now we're going to really see what Will Levis can do, right? He's got all the weapons there.
Yeah, I'm sure going to miss Derrick Henry, but Will Levis has a rocket arm, and now he's got someone who can throw the ball far too, and Ridley. So he's going to have his opportunity. He needs to not be a bonehead and think he can run over players, or he's going to get hurt every single year.
Yeah.
But if he can play smart, he might be good. He might be a bust, but he might be good. He played well at times last year, so I think we'll find out a lot about him this year.
Ridley, yeah. What's your take on Derrick Henry? You think he's going to be good for fantasy and for the Ravens?
Derrick Henry is still a good player, even at his old age in running back years. He takes care of his body as good as anyone. So if anyone can play good in their 30s, I think it's going to be Derrick Henry. The line in Tennessee, offensive line, has been horrible the past couple of years, but he's still been pretty productive. And I just hate it for him that he had to run behind that terrible line, or who knows what he could have done. I do think he will be good. It is interesting to see what he'll do on a team where he's not going to get at least 20 carries a game anymore. I don't know how that's going to affect him. He has lost a little bit of a step, but not much. But I think he'll still be good for the Ravens. If you get him in 3rd and 1, how are you going to stop the Ravens in that scenario? I really don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine in an RPO play with Lamar and Henry in short yardage. It's like because you can't put 8 men in the box like Henry's used to playing because you got to have somebody on Lamar, or Lamar will burn you for a long run. So that takes a defender out of there every time. So that alone is going to open up more things for Henry. And I think they won't have to depend on him. That they'll be able to mix it up with Lamar running, play action. I really like Zay Flowers this year for fantasy. Very high on Zay even before they got Henry, but now with Henry, I think that's going to set up deep ball play action to Zay Flowers. a lot. What about
Yeah.
Taj Spears? I was in love with him until they brought in Pollard, and now I don't know what to do with drafting him.
It's kind of. I think I really assumed that Tajay was going to be the guy, but they gave Pollard a significant contract, so they might just be a dual back system here. I think Spears will be the better pass catching back. So in third down scenarios, I think it'll be Spears, but now
Yeah.
I'm thinking Pollard might get more of the first down reps.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, and that screws both of them for fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Pollard's
makes it
usually a
tough.
good receiver. Pollard was a 3-down back with Dallas. That's what, and still his numbers weren't that good for fantasy. And if Spears loses those carries, yeah, I only saw highlights of Spears, but I watched a lot of his highlights, and I'm like, this guy looks like a starting NFL running back. Like he looks solid, you know?
Yeah. I think he can be. He's not going to be a game changing running back, but I think he's good enough to be a starting running back.
Boston really opened it up here. Jalen Brown with the steal and the flush. Whew. They're up 18, feeling pretty good about the 6.5 right now. Honestly, that number seemed low.
I got a question for Drew too, I guess. Wondering Kevin Beard, I thought he was going to come back. Wasn't he? He's kind of a fan favorite, right, for Tennessee?
Yeah, he's a hometown kid. He went to the same college I did in Tennessee, in Murphy, just outside of Nashville. Everybody loved him. He's a stand-up guy. A lot of fans were upset when he left. But safeties, high-priced safeties, are a lot of them got cut this year, so he was making too much money, I guess. And the new general manager, I guess, just wanted to get rid of him. So it was a little bit of a disappointment, but he is getting older.
Yeah.
Let's check the scores around the horn while we're on a commercial break here. 3 minutes left. This game seems to be pretty well in hand. And let's also check in with our Zoom, our YouTube chat here. Let's see. Yeah. Some Henry fans there. All right. Let's go. ESPN scores. I wanted to see what was happening in that Big 12 game. I guess it tips off next. Cincinnati. Oh, good. I'm looking forward. Aren't we past 9:30? No, it's 9:30 now. Yeah, I'm curious to see if Cincinnati can continue their run and knock off Baylor. If they can win another game here, they're playing their way into March Madness and will be one of the hotter teams down the stretch. And tomorrow night we should have some awesome college games.
Providence beat Creighton. That's an upset.
Wow, yeah, that is an upset. Providence over Creighton. Teams are falling. It's March Madness is here. Well, there was another one I saw that a lot of us didn't pick. It kind of surprised. Oh, BYU.
Yeah, I think that one was surprising.
BYU. Yeah, I saw BYU play Kansas and beat them, and I was impressed with that. I watched a little of that game. Now I realize Kansas is trash right now. So I shouldn't have been so impressed with that win and put so much stake in BYU playing well. Be interesting to see if Boston pulls the starters here. Tatum's right at his player prop number. I think it was 28 actually. So I'm not sure if he's going to get that. And he's been at 22 since halftime.
Horford hitting 6 threes. It's getting unfair. It's getting unfair.
Yeah, he's hasn't had as many minutes this year, so he's well rested and going to be a great 6th man for them in the playoffs.
I'll bet you, Greg, your boy Sam Hauser's he's gonna win you a game in the playoffs. I'm predicting it right now. Mark it down.
Hey,
I know you don't like him. I know you don't like him, but
so Hauser and Cornette, I don't see them adding any value. Oh, they just
is Pritchard gonna play? Is he gonna make that rotation?
Oh yeah, he's the 7th man. He's having a
Is
great
he?
career here. He's their only decent guard off the bench. I've been very impressed with Pritchard this year in his development. We'll see. I didn't love Derek White at first. I'm a tough critic on New Celtics. It took me a little while, a whole season, to warm up to Derek White, and he's developed amazingly. So we shall see.
Yeah, Pritchard's I think the only Celtics player I enjoy watching off of their. I like the Celtics starting five. That's why I tune into the games. I think they have the best starting lineup in the league, but nothing on their bench excites me. I think they have one of the worst benches actually in the league.
They have two guys. Horford and Pritchard. I'll put up against anybody's bench. I think
I like Horford. I like Horford. The great point you made about low minutes, and if you can get him, like in a playoff series, if he gets actual rest, he's a killer on the court. But like I said, I saw it against when he played the Warriors. Those quick games with only 1 day rest in the series, he did not look the same in the following game.
Yeah, usually you need an 8-man bench for the playoffs at least.
So it's going to be it'll be Hauser, Pritchard, and Horford.
They traded for Tillman. I thought he could be a hustle guy.
He could. He's got a decent line tonight for playing 10 minutes ish.
Yeah, if he can be a third guy off the bench that can just be a 3
over who? Hauser?
Yeah, those guys can still have their minutes too, I guess.
I'd rather have Hauser than Tillman. Just to keep that shooting.
Yeah.
How do you think about what's his name? Luke Cornett's strategy to close out threes.
How old is Al Hoyford? He's been in the league for 90 years. He
like
played
37.
college with Joakim Noah, who's been.
I was gonna say the same thing, man. How old is that dude?
Horford doesn't age, man. He does not age.
Woo, Bobo, bringing it up. Look at that. Stop and go. And he missed the layup. Oh, Sports Center. Oh, my gosh. They're not calling anything right now. These refs just want to get this over with.
The Suns don't really have a bench either, it looks like, right? Their bench is kind of.
I never heard of any of these guys. Obviously, Bobo.
There's Thaddeus Young.
Is that who that is? Thaddeus Young? Yeah, he's a veteran.
And Sear Little's a Tar Heel, former Tar Heel.
Oh, that's Nasir Little. Wow.
I've always liked his defense.
Bad turnover there by Roddy.
TNT does a segment where they call who they play for, and they put up a player, and Charles Barkley has to guess who they play for, and he usually always gets it wrong. If you did that with Thaddeus Young, you could give me 12 guesses and I wouldn't get it right. I had no idea where
they just traded for him, I think, at the trading deadline.
Wasn't he in Chicago?
I think he was on Toronto.
Steve, that's a tough. He's been on 15 teams.
Yeah, Pritchard's just going to run it out here. $239. I don't know what the over was on this. All right. Well, another game is in the wrap. So fun night covering this game. We'll be back on tomorrow to look at the college games. Should be heating up with those matchups. We'll be looking more into fantasy football and the NBA as well. I wanted to get some feedback on earlier today. Those of you guys that were able to see the AI presentation from our sponsor, because I'm looking to continue that relationship. And so if anybody has, any insights, any feedback on anything from there. Alex, what did you like best about it? I saw you were in the chat over there.
Honestly, I think with those types of presentations, to keeping it short and sweet to introduce us to this is the way to go. I think the topic was fantastic with AI, right? It's going to be the future. I wasn't alive when the internet was starting, but it's kind of similar, right? We're going to be gravitating into this AI bubble. And I think, us getting a jump start on it some of us might be looking to get promotions or even, changing jobs. Having that extra AI skill and then getting introduced to it is just a bonus for us. So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to check out the book for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that feedback. Myself at 52, right? I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, started working in the 90s. And I worked my first career before I got into marketing was in headhunting. And my first job in headhunting was in the late 90s. It was the dot-com boom. And my first boss in headhunting was raving to me about the fax machine. I remember in the late 90s. He was saying, Greg, you have no idea how the fax machine has changed things for us. Just 5 years ago, if you wanted to apply for a job, I would have to drive the resume over to a company. Like get in my car and drive over there and drop off the resume for them to look at. The fax machine has changed everything. And then the fax machine like came and went and email was here. Like in those years, I was at that company, like we had email. And that was like there was one email for the whole company, and we didn't have our own emails even back then. But I'll tell you this, it's just one thing I learned there. I listened to my boss about that. I saw internet coming, I'm in my late 20s at this point, right? So I'm using it to check the scores and stuff in the late 90s. And this is what happened to me in my recruiting career is I just was a little bit ahead of all the mainstream people. And what we figured out at my recruiting company, what I figured out was there was a site, monster.com. Everybody's heard of monster.com now, I think. It's actually, if you're young, you might not even know it because they're kind of dead now. But in the 90s, monster.com had just started. The corporations didn't know about it. And I would go on there and find resumes and send them to companies, and they would pay us $10,000 finder's fees for these people. And I was killing it. And that lasted for like 2 years. And then the companies figured out they would go on Monster themselves. And they started saying to us, we're not going to pay you for people from Monster anymore. But I was smart enough I was placing techies back then. And I was asking the techies, this is in 2002 now, what websites you guys on? And they told me about LinkedIn. So I got on LinkedIn in 2002. And same thing, I was getting the resumes from there, and the companies were paying me $10,000 a pop. And then 2 years later, the companies figured out LinkedIn, right? But just staying like a little bit ahead of what everybody else is doing has always paid off huge for me in my career, in my business. And that's like the opportunity that's there with AI right now. And it'll be different how each of us can use AI. And I'm not the AI expert, Jonathan is. But he's the guy we want to learn all this stuff for and figure out how to just get a little bit ahead of everybody in your job. And you can have that advantage. Drew, I saw you were there tonight as well. What did you like best about it? Oh, you're on mute now.
Man, someone of my experience who's in Zoom meetings all the time should never forget to get off mute, but I just did. I think it kind of made me more interested in it than it was. I'm kind of old soul in the fact that I don't like change, but I know I have to get on board with it. So it made it less intimidating sounding for me. So that makes me a lot more willing to kind of dive into it. So I like that he did not make it as intimidating as I kind of thought it probably would be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good feedback. And I'm just like you. I'm kind of like, I don't like to rush into. So I literally remember having a conversation with my kids around probably like 2010-ish, where like I'm not going to text. My son would be like, Dad, everybody's texting. Like I'm like, no, if you need to speak to me, you will call me. I was refusing to text.
They used to cost, and I wouldn't text people back either. Like, hey, I text you, and I'm not going to spend 20 cents to send you a text.
Yeah.
So I was the same way. And
Yeah.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, when he came into the league, I thought, I'm not going to learn that guy's name. It's too hard to learn. Well, he made me learn it by getting so good.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what AI might do.
Yeah. Yeah. Good points. Good points. Anybody else have anything they want to share on earlier today?
I like AI in the digital world that we're living in. I mean, I'm all about if I have any opportunity where I can work smarter and not harder, I'm gonna take it. And I think learning the workarounds with AI definitely helps with that, especially if you want to be like a journalist. You can use it to help you come up with topics and ideas and proofread and proofwrite your stuff for you. So I think it makes life a little easier, or a lot easier in the long run.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so we're entering into a partnership with Jonathan. He's a best-selling author on AI and has a consulting business. I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn and through this show, and so we're trying to come up with ways where we can utilize our show to educate people about AI, which is helping them, and also help him expand his reach. And that can, lead to some monetization for the show. And ultimately that means, for all of us that are regulars in the show. So that's kind of tonight was a big step in that direction. Appreciate everyone who was able to join us on LinkedIn. We'll probably be doing that every 2 weeks. And kind of getting it down and figuring out, how to get more and more people there. To make that, part of our monetization strategy, because waiting for YouTube views to get, to me, and the money that comes from YouTube, like that's just gravy. That's not like the main monetization plan in any business, because that, you need to get like millions of views before you're making, any real money. So, big step forward tonight, big win for the Celtics. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. And
I wanted
to see you again too.
Can I say something real fast?
Yeah, sure, Lisa.
Oh, I just wanted to say I was really excited about the presentation, because I've been looking for some freelance writing stuff, and everything is like AI, and it's just like, I don't know, I don't understand. So he did kind of make it seem much more simple, or simpler, and I've already downloaded the book and stuff, so I'm really excited to read it.
Awesome. Great feedback. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.